My Fishing Advisor is an app to help you catch more and bigger fish. It can help you decide when to fish, where to fish, what to use, and how to use it. In this video, we'll cover the basics. There's also a video called My Fishing Advisor Beyond the Basics that goes deeper into many of the features. When you first install My Fishing Advisor, you'll need to start by setting up at least one fishing spot. The app will offer fishing advice that's designed for your specific spots, not just general advice for the whole lake or region. Tap Add New Spot, and then fill in as much information as you can. Give your spot a name. Let's call this spot West Channel Boat Launch. And select where your spot is on the map. Then swipe to scroll as we fill in more details. This spot can be fished from shore. This is not a large lake, it is a large river. Usual water clarity, stain 2 to 5 foot visibility, watercolor, red or brown, we'll select that. Depth range, 0, there's some shoreline there. Maximum depth 10 feet, that's about right. Current, slow to moderately fast, that's about right. Now we're going to come to structure. Is your spot a bay, a point, a shoreline, or an area of open water? Check all the boxes that apply to your specific fishing spot. If you see a term you're not familiar with, just tap the question mark to the right to get an explanation of what that type of structure is. If you really have no idea what types of structure are present, tap Auto Select Common Structures. The app will check the ones that make the most sense for that type of body of water in that area. That's handy, but as you build your collection of fishing spots, the app can do a better job of fine-tuning the fishing advice if you narrow each spot down by checking only the structures that are actually present there. So I'm going to uncheck some right now. Next, do the same with cover. Again, you can auto-select if you don't know what's present, but if you do, check those boxes. Next, the fish species. We'll auto-select first and then see how it did. This all looks pretty accurate. And then at the bottom, save your fishing spot. Once you've set up at least one fishing location, you're ready to use a lot of the features of My Fishing Advisor. These buttons on the top show your current fishing scenario. Your location, this is the location list screen. So far we only have the one location we just set up. Your fishing date and time, if you tap that, this brings up a color-coded calendar showing the fishing prospects for each day. Red's the poorest fishing, orange is a little bit better, yellow's better still, and green is the best. There's also a numeric value from 1 to 100 showing the fishing prospects, 100 being the best. You can select your fishing date by simply tapping on the calendar, and you can select a fishing time by either picking it directly here or down here where you see an hourly fish activity forecast for your target species at your location at that day. You can tap a column on that chart to select that as your fishing time. Next screen, the target species. You can sort them by type or by activity to see the most active species listed on top. There's help for each species of fish, and if you select a species, it will bring you back to the last screen you were on, in this case, the calendar and the time. You can see the fish activity forecast is different for northern pike than it was for largemouth bass. Next is the weather. Here it shows the forecast, temperature, percent cloud cover, wind, speed, and direction, and the chance of precipitation for that location at that date and time. If you tap that, you'll have a scrollable hourly forecast. If the forecast isn't available, or if you simply want to manually override the weather conditions, check this box and pick what the weather conditions are. Next, the sun and moon button. This will show you the times for the sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, the moon phase, what the moon phase says about the fishing, and the major and minor solunar periods. Next, the water conditions. The app is going to estimate the water temperature for that location considering the way you describe that spot and taking into account many factors including the weather. If you know what the water temperature is, you can manually adjust that. You can also change the water level, whether it's rising or falling, change the color or the clarity. The next row button starts with the map. Like the calendar, the spots on the map will be color-coded, with green showing the most promising fishing locations and red the least promising. Once you begin to use the log feature, you'll see log entries marked with a blue marker. Next, let's look at the fish activity forecast. This is a larger version of the 24-hour chart. The taller the bar and the greener the bar, the better the fishing at that time. If you have the Pro features, you'll see an explanation of how the water clarity, the weather, the light levels affect the species you're targeting, and whether the fish are spawning or other factors that might affect those fish. Next, the fishing plan. This will show you what structures to fish, what covers to fish, what depths to target, a technique to use, what bait or lure, and provide tips about what tackle to use and other helpful details. Note here it says West Channel Boat Launch has poor features for these conditions for northern pike. Back in the location list, each spot will show the prospects of fishing at that spot for your target species at that time. That depends on the activity of the fish there, but also whether the features are appropriate for the time and those conditions for that species. They are not appropriate for northern pike right now. Let's go back to the target species screen and pick another species. Now that I've switched to smallmouth bass, the features are excellent. So let's take a look at a fishing plan for smallmouth bass. Fishing shorelines around riprap in 3 to 10 feet water, especially targeting around 6 feet, casting and retrieving with a 5-inch black plastic worm. If you'd like to see another option, tap New Fishing Plan. If you have the Pro features, you can also customize your fishing plan. Work your way down from structure all the way down to bait as you customize your fishing plan. When you catch fish, if you want to keep track of that, tap the log, add a new entry, and fill in all the details as you scroll through. And you'll see them all listed here. As you add more entries, you'll have the option to sort them by date or proximity to where you're currently located. And as your collection of fishing locations grows, My Fishing Advisor can help you choose the right ones for the conditions. That should get you started using My Fishing Advisor. If you'd like to see the features covered in greater detail, check out the video, My Fishing Advisor, Beyond the Basics. Stay safe and happy fishing.